In 1795, three teenagers on a tiny island off Nova Scotia found something that should not exist. It was a deliberately engineered shaft, sealed with flagstones and timber platforms every 10 feet, descending deeper than anyone could dig. 2 centuries, 6 deaths, and millions of dollars later, no one has reached the bottom. This is arguably the most mysterious island on Earth, and what has actually been pulled from its depths is stranger than any treasure legend. In the late summer of 1795, Daniel McGuinness, a young farmhand from the mainland, set foot on Oak Island with his friends John Smith and Anthony Vaughan. They were drawn by a strange hollow in the earth, a subtle dip beneath a solitary oak tree. What began as idle curiosity quickly turned into something far more serious. Digging with simple tools, the boys uncovered a layer of flat stones not native to the area, laid out as if by careful hands. Beneath the flagstones, the soil changed. Packed clay gave way to a platform of timber, deliberately arranged and far too regular to be an accident of nature. The further they dug, the more the ground resisted. Every few feet, they struck another layer of wood, each one spaced at intervals that suggested a plan. The work was slow and exhausting, but the pattern was unmistakable. Someone had gone to great lengths to hide or protect whatever lay below. Word of the discovery spread quickly through the small communities of Nova Scotia. In 1796, a brief notice appeared in the Halifax Gazette describing a curious pit discovered on Oak Island said to contain great riches. The story was out, and with it, the first public echo of the legend that would grip imaginations for generations. By 1797, McGuinness, Smith, and Vaughan had filed a formal land grant, staking their claim to the island and its secret. The original deed, now preserved in the Nova Scotia archives, marks the official start of Oak Island's long and tangled history, a history fueled by the hope that beneath those platforms, something extraordinary waited to be found. By the middle of the 19th century, Oak Island had drawn the attention of well-financed corporate ventures determined to solve its puzzle by any means available. The Onslow Company, formed in 1848 by Halifax merchants, brought a new scale of ambition. Their ledgers detailed the purchase of iron shoring, spring-loaded lifts, and by 1856 the arrival of a steam-powered drill, technology rarely seen in rural Nova Scotia at the time. Company logs, now preserved in the Nova Scotia archives, describe methodical sinking of timber-lined shafts and the installation of box drains, all in an effort to reach the elusive depths that had defeated earlier diggers. The Onslow crew documented their work with daily drill logs, recording each encounter with packed clay, timber platforms, and sudden water inflows. These records show a shaft reaching 30 feet, with platforms and stone revetments built to hold back the sea. Financing for these operations was substantial. The Onslow Company raised £12,000 from local investors, equivalent to millions today. When the Onslow Company folded, the Oak Island Association took up the challenge in 1863. Their engineers produced the first stratigraphic diagrams of the pit, mapping out 4 distinct wooden platforms separated by sand and clay. An 1866 platform diagram, still referenced by researchers, shows the complexity of the layers and the deliberate engineering at work. The association's reports also note the use of advanced pumping equipment to battle the persistent flooding that plagued every dig. Each round of excavation, whether by hand, auger, or steam, disturbed the original evidence, mixing layers and making it harder to separate legend from fact. Yet, the scale and ingenuity of these 19th century efforts left a permanent mark, not just on the island's landscape, but on the story itself. What began as a local curiosity had become a full-blown industrial quest, setting the stage for Oak Island's transformation into a legend that would grip imaginations far beyond Nova Scotia's shores. Rumors of hidden gold and secret societies have always had a way of pulling people in, but Oak Island has turned that curiosity into a full-blown cultural phenomenon. Theories about what lies beneath its soil are as tangled as the roots of its famous oaks. Some say the Money Pit holds the lost treasure of Captain Kidd, the notorious pirate. Others point to the Knights Templar, weaving tales of Crusader gold spirited across the Atlantic and hidden by men sworn to secrecy. There are even whispers about Shakespeare's missing manuscripts, Spanish galleon loot, and coded messages carved into ancient stones. None of these stories have ever been proven, but that has not stopped them from spreading or evolving. The island's reputation has grown far beyond its shores. By the late 19th century, Oak Island was drawing visitors from Halifax and beyond, each hoping to catch a glimpse of the legendary pit, or maybe overhear the latest theory from a local guide. In the 20th century, the legend took on a life of its own. Tour boats began running regular trips, and the island's name appeared in newspapers from London to New York. The phrase Oak Island effect began popping up in business columns and tourism reports, shorthand for the way a good mystery can fill hotel rooms and keep cash registers ringing. Even today, the island's myth powers a steady stream of visitors, merchandise, and global attention, fueled in large part by the ongoing television series The Curse of Oak Island, which has aired since 2014 and now boasts more than a dozen seasons. For every digger who leaves empty-handed, there is another drawn by the promise that the next turn of the spade will reveal something extraordinary. The real treasure, some say, is not gold at all. It is the enduring hope that Oak Island's secrets are just waiting to be uncovered. Scientific teams have spent decades cataloguing the most tangible evidence ever pulled from Oak Island's soil. The most consistent finding, confirmed by both 19th century engineering logs and modern sonar, is the sequence of wooden platforms buried at regular intervals. Sonar surveys conducted by Dalhousie University in 2018 mapped 4 distinct platforms at depths of 10 feet, 22 feet, 38 feet, and 55 feet. Each layer is separated by sand and clay, with waterlogged zones between, matching the detailed stratigraphic diagrams produced by the Oak Island Association in 1866. Dendrochronology on timber samples, cross-referenced with the Eastern Canadian Master Chronology, dates the wood to between 1765 and 1790, decades before the first treasure hunters arrived. One of the most puzzling discoveries is the presence of coconut fiber, first reported in the 1860s and later subjected to laboratory analysis at the University of New Brunswick. Stable isotope ratios, measured at delta 13C, around -13 per mil, confirm the fiber's tropical origin. The chain of custody for these samples runs from sealed vials in the association's vault to the university lab, with every transfer logged. Coconut palms do not grow within thousands of kilometers of Nova Scotia, raising questions about how such material found its way into the pit. Some researchers point to shipwrecks or the use of coir in maritime cargo, but no direct link has been proven. At Smith's Cove, engineering blueprints from 1861 and underwater photogrammetry completed in 2021 reveal a 30-foot stone-lined conduit, 3 feet wide, with a timber gate at the entrance. Sediment cores from the tunnel wall show layers of anthropogenic clay, radiocarbon dated to 1859, supporting the argument that at least some of the island's floodworks are the product of deliberate 19th century engineering. While these finds do not confirm the existence of buried treasure, they do demonstrate a level of construction and planning that continues to challenge simple explanations. For every artifact recovered and every structure mapped, the evidence points to a story that is as much about human ingenuity as it is about hidden riches. On July 13, 1965, a tragic accident on Oak Island changed the course of its story. Harold Restall, along with his son and 2 other workers, lost their lives when a timber support gave way beneath them, plunging the men into a flooded shaft filled with toxic gas. The official coroner's report, filed that same week, included a diagram of the collapse and ruled out any hidden traps, citing structural failure as the cause. The news made headlines across Nova Scotia, and public pressure mounted for tighter controls over who could dig on the island and how. In the years that followed, government regulators and heritage officials stepped in, introducing excavation licensing and new safety codes. By 1974, disputes over permits reached the courts in Case 1974 TL-001, setting a precedent for how Oak Island's past would be protected. The human cost forced a reckoning, reminding everyone that the pursuit of legend carries real consequences. The search for answers on Oak Island has gone prime time. Since November 2014, the television series The Curse of Oak Island has followed brothers Rick and Marty Lagina as they pour energy, resources, and a hefty sum of their own money into the hunt. Their company, Laguna Ventures, has backed not just excavation, but a wave of high-tech surveys, including ground-penetrating radar and electromagnetic mapping, scanning the Money Pit and Smith's Cove for hidden chambers or metal signatures. The show's episodes have featured everything from ground-penetrating radar depth slices to breathless headlines about possible canisters buried deep underground. While the treasure remains out of reach, the technology and the televised drama keep millions tuning in, always hoping this season will finally deliver the big reveal. Oak Island's unanswered questions still draw new searches and fresh debate. With The Curse of Oak Island now running for 13 seasons, the island's pull endures, proof that some mysteries outlast every dig. Like and subscribe, and hey, maybe next season they'll finally strike gold.